So thanks very much for these opportunities. My name is Zhaomiao Guo, also go by Walter. And today I'm going to talk about smart and resilient interdependent transportation power systems. My home department is in civil environmental and construction engineering, and I'm also a faculty member in resilient, intelligent, and sustainable energy systems cluster. A little bit about myself. Before joining UCF in 2018, I was a postdoc at the Argonne National Laboratory. And I received my Ph.D. in transportation system engineering from UC Davis, a master's in applied economics and transportation engineering, and bachelor in civil engineering. My research interest is broadly related to smart and resilient transportation power systems. More specifically, I'm interested in three themes. The first one is about incentive design. So how we use monetary and maybe non-monetary incentives to influence the behaviors toward the desired system outcome. The second topic is about infrastructure resilience, both from planning and operational perspectives. The third theme is about using data-driven approach to understand the user behaviors related to some emerging transportation technologies. In terms of teaching, I'm interested in teaching undergraduate courses like highway engineering, applied numerical methods, and I also developed two new courses for graduate program, infrastructure system optimizations and transportation networks. So broadly speaking, the motivation for my research is critical infrastructure systems are very important for a nation's development and prosperity, but at the same time, they are very vulnerable. And in Florida, we already experienced several major hurricanes, which bring a lot of impacts and losses. More specifically, my research was inspired by the increasing interdependency between transportation and power system. And there are many reasons behind. One of the reasons is because of the increasing trend of transportation electrification. And this trend actually brings both opportunities and threats. So for opportunities, electric vehicles can serve as distributed energy resources and try to help the operation of power systems, even also transportation. And on the threat side, we may need to be careful about the overloading of the existing infrastructure capacity. And also because of the interdependency between transportation and power, we may need to be careful about the cascading failures, not only within one system, but also across different systems. So to kind of capture these issues, there are some research gaps. Firstly, it's about non-cooperative decision-making, both from supply and demand side. Secondly, both systems are highly stochastic and dynamic, and their decision-making may not have the same time resolution and scale. Thirdly, how we handle the curse of dimensionality. So the first project I would like to talk about is more from theoretical side. So we collaborate with Dr. Jinjian Qi, Julio Diright. The objective is try to develop some modeling and computational framework for these stochastic heterogeneous non-cooperative systems. And for modeling perspective, I use a multi-agent optimization framework, try to incorporate the information updates and the response to the dynamic information, as well as some system interactions and equilibrium conditions. And for computation, I leverage some theoretical development in variational analysis, try to develop a rigorous and robust convergence algorithm. So there could have different applications for this theoretical framework. So based on that, we can quantify the benefits of emerging technologies, do incentive design, and also infrastructure planning and infrastructure resilience. So in the following, I would like to talk about several founding projects related to this idea. So the first one is about impacts of electrified ride-sharing economy on transportation and energy systems. So this is collaborated with Dr. Joanne Zhou and Charles Mako from Argonne National Laboratory and sponsored by DOE. So the objectives have threefold. So firstly, we want to investigate the spatial and temporal charging demand of electrified ride sourcing systems. And secondly, we would like to identify the infrastructure needs for this new mobility. And then based on that, we would like to propose the optimal infrastructure planning to improve transportation and power system efficiency and reliability. So in terms of outcome, we developed an open source agent-based simulation platform to capture this interdependency. And here is the user interface. The idea is try to use a bottom-up approach to capture the independent decision makers' interaction and try to aggregate to some system effects. This framework has been adopted by several utility companies in Chicago, DC metro area, Baltimore, and Philadelphia. And I also developed a separate module for fuel cell electric vehicles, which is used by Argonne for LLA analysis. One of the key issues for agent-based modeling is how we quantify and model the behavior. So I use data-driven approach, try to capture the key decision-making in the system and also identify some key factors which possibly can use to predict those behaviors. The second project is about information. So the title is Vehicle to Infrastructure System Design and Safety Implication of CAV, Connected Automated Vehicles in an Interconnected Network. So this collaborates with Dr. Mohammed Abdullahi and is sponsored by Department of Transportation. The objective, we want to understand what's the information impact to the connected and automated vehicles. And secondly, we would like to optimally design the information sharing location and sharing strategy to guide the system to optimize transportation network mobility and safety. So this project, we kind of integrate network modeling, micro simulation, and also some safety assessment modules. In terms of outcome, we developed a network modeling framework which can capture the dynamic information provision and also the dynamic response for the connected and automated vehicles. And based on that, we can use some artificial intelligence to try to control the system to decide the optimal information sharing strategy. And there are some working papers and proposal under preparation from this topic. The third project is about value of electric vehicles for large-scale solar integration with power system. So the problem of power system is, the characteristic of power system is demand and supply need to be balanced for every second and every location. But solar, the large-scale solar actually create a lot of fluctuation in terms of the supply side. So the idea is try to use electric vehicles as energy resources or maybe a vehicle to grid resources, try to align the generation with the power load. The objectives, we want to investigate the value of EV, some technology including demand response and vehicle to grid technologies on distribution system. And secondly, we want to use some pricing incentive to influence the EV charging and travel decision. Hopefully we can optimize both transportation congestion and power system cost. So some outcome, we developed some modern framework to capture this multi-agent and interdependent systems. And secondly, we are looking into the Sacramento area, try to propose some system planning of mitigation technologies to help them bring in renewable energy. So looking to the future, for short term, I would like to integrate the opportunities, combining data-driven and process-driven approaches for these two critical infrastructure systems. And also, I would like to look for the opportunities to contribute to some efforts in Florida, try to develop a statewide charging infrastructure. In long term, I would like to focus on reliable and resilient transportation and power systems, but also I would like to look for opportunities for other critical infrastructure systems, which may share some similar characteristics. Thirdly, I hope to make the implementation scalable, and in the long run, I hope to see some adoption from government and industry partners. I'm looking for collaboration in many different aspects, not only limited to this. So for example, machine learning, cyber system modeling, cascading failures, nature disaster modeling, and also from social science perspective, emergency management and human behaviors. So last, I'd like to thank my team graduate research playlist and also the founding department and RISES for the generous support over the past 2 years. So that's it. Thanks so much. I would like to answer, I'll be happy to answer some questions if you have.
Thanks, Walter. So